Hello, welcome back to Rapid Regeneration. I'm David Escamilla. I'm not a doctor, not making medical claims or any claims about diseases. I'm a regenerative detoxification specialist. I'm just a guy, just a regular guy who got really sick, was in horrible shape, felt terrible, was eating terribly, and was just kind of in a pit of despair. And I figured out the answers and the solutions to reverse all of that, to solve all my problems, completely recover, and get back to my old self, feeling great, energized, feeling just high on life. And so I'm just simply sharing that information with you. If you've paid attention to the segments up till now, we've covered a lot of powerful stuff about herbal supplements, about total body cleansing, and you can make a lot of progress through that. If you've done that, you're probably feeling ready to start eating healthier, or you're feeling motivated, or your appetite has changed and you're craving more healthy foods, or maybe you're just already there. And in that case, the question is, what's the best way to transition to more healthy foods? Because as powerful as the supplements and cleansing are, the foods are just as powerful, if not more. And so eating more healthily in a more alkalizing way is going to be tremendous for getting results for your body. And so basically the next phase that we're going to cover in Rapid Regeneration is about transitioning to eating more healthily. And so that's going to be covered in the next couple segments. But to understand how to transition, it really helps to understand, what are you transitioning from currently? And the thing is that the modern diet in the world is very addictive. And so we have to understand the nature of this addiction in order to break it. Because the best, quote, diet in the world is you eat exactly what you want to eat, because you don't crave the pizza, you don't crave the burgers, you don't crave the, whatever, the sweets, and the cookies, and the chocolates and everything else. So basically, this is going to help you understand the nature of this addiction so that we can break this addiction easily without too much effort. It's not going to be like a heroin junkie, kicking a habit. It's going to be done very slowly and gradually, and it should be pretty smooth. But you got to understand your enemy to win the war. And your enemy right now is your cravings and your irresistible urge to eat unhealthy foods. So understand where that's coming from. So basically, the nature of this addiction. First, just in terms of where my own story, because I've been very addicted to unhealthy foods, and now basically I don't crave them at all. So just to understand, I can break up basically my life into 4 phases in terms of this addiction. So first, growing up as a child and as a teenager, I would basically eat everything and anything. Eating was very fun, it was pleasure driven, it was hedonistic. I was constantly craving junk foods, and I would always indulge as much as I could with no second thought. And it was like a fun addiction. Then I got to a point as a young adult, a young man, where I wanted to maintain a certain figure. I basically was like 210 pounds, 5'10", and so I was chubby. And so basically it became this battle where I would resist temptation. I was watching what I was eating. So it was kind of like this addiction, but it was a constant battle in order for me to lose 30 or 40 pounds, 40 pounds really, and then maintain that weight. So it was an addiction, but I was fighting it and I was battling it. Then there was a phase where I got really sick, and those who know my story, I overdosed on cough medicine and I poisoned my nervous system, and I felt horrible for years. during this phase, I became so just in despair and sad that I pretty much just succumbed to this addiction of eating junk food and eating fast food. And I ate them daily as kind of one of my few pleasures in life. And so this was like a downward spiral. So this was an addiction, and I gave into it. I sort of gave up. That was phase 3. Then phase 4 is basically after I discovered herbal cleansing, total body cleansing, colon cleansing, parasite cleansing, liver cleansing. I did all this, and I started to transition to a more healthy way of eating, more raw foods. And so this was still challenging because I still had my old cravings, and I would still eat these other foods that were unhealthy, but I was transitioning. So I still had the addiction, but I was kind of getting out of the addiction, transitioning into more healthy foods. So that was it. Then you could say there was a 5th phase where basically I rarely desire unhealthy foods. I mean, I still give in, I still indulge sometimes, but I basically am drawn to eating healthy, vibrant foods. So that's kind of the 4 phases of my addiction, and then basically phase 5, which I'm in now, which is kind of transcending that and elevating out of that. So basically, that's the goal, is to make it a thing of the past. That's the goal of doing this. So, and by the way, this feels amazing. I mean, it's like having a monkey off your back, and just wake up and you just get to enjoy life and focus on other things and bigger questions and love and purpose and spirituality and enjoying, people that are important to you and service to others. And, you get to kind of enjoy the finer things in life when you're not constantly hankering for, foods that are ultimately harmful to your health. So, with all that said, and with the goal in mind for that, I'm going to do my best, and I will help you get there if you're committed to getting there. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it in the next few segments. But the question is, how addicted are you? How addicted are you? So, what kind of cravings do you get? For a certain food that makes your mouth water. Is it something salty and savory, satiating? Is there a sugary sweetness that you crave that sort of puts you into a bliss point? How about textures? Do you crave like your favorite snack foods, or maybe fast food menu items that have a certain crunch or crispiness? Can you imagine that kind of explosion in your mouth when you dip something into your favorite sauce, maybe something fried, with the side of the French fries? I mean, so if this is making you crazy hearing me talk about this, look, it's okay to admit that you feel compelled to these things. Okay, and here's the one other message before you overcome this addiction is, look, it's not your fault. And this is really helpful. Don't feel guilty if you're addicted to unhealthy foods. It's not your fault. Okay, think about how much of these junk foods you were fed as a kid, as a young child. Your parents, they didn't know what they were doing. I mean, maybe they didn't even have the internet, or they weren't educated, they weren't informed. And then what about all the pressures, societal pressures from your peer group? And then on top of this, okay, you have this industry. I'm going to refer to them as big agra. In other words, the big food processing companies. They literally spend tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, to recruit the finest minds in science that we have in this world, the smartest people that we have who paid attention in school, to figure out the problem, to figure out the equation of how to get you more addicted to these food products so that you'll become a repeat customer. Does that sound wrong or what? Because it is. They're basically a legal dope pusher. The same way that you have medical people there, they're allowed to supply addictive narcotics not narcotics, I'm sorry, but, opiates to customers, and they receive financial compensation from Big Pharma as a result. They receive subsidies from the government in support of this. And so it's the same thing with food. You have opiates that destroy health, that are very addictive, and that get somebody hooked for life. And then you have this system that supports that. Well, you have big agra, and the food is the dope in this case, and they want you hooked so that you'll basically return over and over and over again. I mean, it's a great business model. It's unfortunately immoral and unethical. But we live in strange times here, in the developed world. And you look around in America and you see, and most other developed countries, I mean, you have the majority of adults that are overweight. You see chronic health issues exploding, and we're seeing quantum leaps in all these health problems that are happening. So it's okay to admit that there's a problem, and it's okay to admit that you've been hooked on some of these processed foods, by the industry or by society or by your upbringing. Okay, so let it go. It's not your fault. And now that you understand this, let's move forwards. Okay, forgive your parents for whatever they fed you. Forgive the schools for not teaching you about actual health and nutrition. Okay, forgive the government regulators for allowing some of these addictive and toxic chemicals in the food. And even forgive the big agra, big food processing industry for deciding to make profits at the expense of your health. Okay, so we're going to forgive everybody, and you're going to forgive yourself. You're going to forgive yourself for whatever indulgence that you've had. So, but here's the thing, the responsibility is yours. You're responsible for reversing this and getting yourself unaddicted to these things. Okay, now that we've let that go. And just to be clear, this is not an AA type mantra. This is not Alcoholics Anonymous, okay, where you say, I'm helpless, I'm going to be an addict for my whole life, even if I abstain from eating this stuff. Okay, this is not what I'm suggesting. I'm going to give you a different mantra that says, you are responsible for overcoming your addiction, and you're freeing yourself from all your negative addiction to harmful foods. Okay, and you can repeat that, but put it in your own tense. So you can do it. You can do it, and I'll help you get there. Okay, I will get you through the dark woods and through the forest and to the meadows ahead of that. So basically it took me about 6 months to transition out of the worst kind of junk foods as I was getting into more raw and healthy foods. And I'm going to cover this in the upcoming segment, how to transition. But it took me about 6 months to stop eating, the worst foods and junk foods. Although I was still hooked on starches and grains. And that took about another 2 years after I got off the worst junk foods before I finally, stopped eating those. That sort of acidic habit of those starches and grains. So, it's unbelievable the energy that you can feel once you break out of these addictions. It's a dynamic, long-lasting energy with no crash. And it's just amazing. It's a high, it's a buzz, and it's the reason why I love this so much, because I'm an energy freak. So, what's the solution? All right, let's look at, and then we'll move on to the next segments. What kind of foods are the least addicting? The solution is to eat less foods of the addicting foods and eat more foods of the non-addicting foods. Well, the foods that are the least addicting, it's unfortunately a pretty small list. It's your fruits, your vegetables, your salads, and your vegetable juices. It's really not much going on. So then you have some foods that are maybe slightly addicting, but much less so. Like you have your nuts and seeds, your high fat fruits, like your olives, your avocado, coconut, your fruit juice, which I would argue can be a bit addicting because, it has so much fructose with no fiber, and all of the explosive sugary sweetness. And then maybe like some steamed vegetables. Okay, these are your foods that are maybe slightly addicting, but very low in terms of addictiveness. Okay, and then if you want to look at the nuances, you have things in the raw food world that are more addicting than others, like, salts, peppers, cacao, added sugars, alcohol, fermented foods, starches, onions, garlic. And basically, these are covered in more detail in the segment, which is several segments away, called Raw Foods to Consider Avoiding. Don't worry too much about this now, the nuances within the different raw foods. Just know your least addictive foods are your fruits and your vegetables, and then foods that are maybe slightly addicting but very, very good are comparatively are going to be your nuts, your seeds, your fatty fruits, avocado, coconut, maybe your fruit juice, and maybe some cooked vegetables. Some steamed vegetables. So basically, yes, you're going to eat less of the addicting foods. You're going to eat more of the non-addicting foods. It's going to be a slow transition. It's not going to be cold turkey. This is not AA. You're not banned from ever indulging. And I'm going to cover this in the next couple segments on how to transition successfully. The question is, do you want to get well? Do you want to break your addictive relationship with Big Agra? Do you want to do it? Are you committed? And have you made a decision to do it? And have you taken responsibility for doing it? Okay, because if you have, I'm going to help you do it. So stay tuned in the segments ahead. The website is rawfoodregeneration.com. I do coaching and consulting. I don't really promote it, but if you want it, you can contact me there. Otherwise, you really shouldn't need it. I am going to lay out everything that you'll need, basically the basics, in the next few segments. So I'm so honored to help you and to fulfill my life's mission, to pay this forwards after I was helped so much by this. So stay tuned, pay close attention, and I'll see you on the next segment. Bye for now.
For more information, please follow @Rapid Regeneration or visit rapidregeneration.com.